the London Routemaster. Probably the most iconic bus in the history of buses. Of the 2,876 built, one stands out as different from all the rest. It was the singular front entrance rear-engined Routemaster. Even though it was a success, it failed to overcome the forces of its time to be mass-produced. This is the story of FRM1, the Routemaster that never was. Hi, this is Jeffrey. Now, out of the 2,876 Routemasters built, there was one that was different, that stood apart from the rest, and that was FRM1, the front entrance rear engine Routemaster. Now, this bus, even though there was just one of them, did actually quite well for itself. The riding public liked it, the crews liked it, so it definitely was something of a success. It wasn't perfect, it did have its faults, but it was a bus that was very well accepted. Now, at the time it was built, there were a lot of forces working against it to be mass-produced. And so that's one of the aspects of the FRM story that we're going to take a look at. So let's get started in learning about the FRM1, the front entrance, rear-engined, one-of-a-kind Routemaster. Every once in a while, there's a bus so good, it's too good to be true. Such was the case with the FRM. The FRM, or front entrance Routemaster, is the bus of many what-ifs. What if AEC had a rear-engined double-decker to rival the Leyland Atlantean, Daimler Fleetline, and Bristol VRT buses? Would London Transport have avoided the DMS debacle? In any event, prototype FRM1 remains unique, and AEC had no double-decker model to offer in the 1970s. The FRM was quite unfortunately only a single prototype. Unfortunately, because it was a bus that drivers, mechanics, and passengers really liked. One can only ponder what London Transport in the 1960s and 70s would have been like if these buses had been available in large quantities instead of the fleet lines. The FRM prototype was an attempt by London Transport in collaboration with AEC and Park Royal Vehicles, also known as PRV, in 1964 to develop a rear-engined version of their familiar front-engined Routemaster, at which point over 1,800 were already in service in London. The bus was developed in response to staff shortages and the gradual conversion of fleets outside London to other rear-engine models which, unlike the Routemaster or older rear platform designs, could be operated by just one person who had responsibilities of both driver and conductor. With the Routemaster already being seen as a good design with high reliability and public acceptability, it seemed sensible to employ the RM or Routemaster technology in a new bus. There had been other Routemasters with a front entrance and no rear platform, but the FRM differed significantly by being rear-engined. Incredibly, 80% of parts used for FRM1 were from the Routemaster. The upper deck was essentially a stretched Routemaster, incorporating an extra row of seats, making the bus 31 feet 3 inches long. Below that, the stairs, cab, doors, engine, and running gear required rearranging or redesigning. Some parts had to be adapted from other manufacturers. The staircase, for example, was based on a Park Royal design for a certain run of Leyland Atlanteans. Air suspension was utilized at the rear to handle the extra weight of the engine. The FRM seating was 41 up, 31 down, giving the same total as the long wheelbase RML at 72 persons. The wheelbase was distinctly longer than that of an Atlantean at 16 feet 10 inches, with overhangs of 7 feet 2 inches at the front and 7 feet 3 inches at the rear. The AEC AV691 engine was similar to that developed for the rear-engine AEC Maryland single-decker, but the cooling ancillaries were moved out of the engine compartment in an attempt to reduce the overheating problems being encountered generally with rear-engined buses. The driving position was high, which pleased the drivers. The front doors were electrically operated, opening to give 2 doorways. There was a standard emergency exit at the rear of the upper deck and an RML-style push-out window at the offside rear downstairs. Unusually, there was also a conventional emergency door behind the staircase. By now, Leyland Motors owned the ACV Group, which included the AEC and PRV concerns, and Leyland was determined not to have yet another ACV product rivaling its Atlantean in ACV's traditional markets. Enthusiasm for the project at London Transport had died at a high management level too. They had now set its sights on single-operator buses for its survival. The government would no longer fund the development of a new bus designed specially for London conditions. Instead, to qualify for new bus grants, London Transport had to buy off-the-peg front-entrance double and single-decker buses. One-person operation demanded the use of rear-engine vehicles, and while the FRM was seemingly very much suited to this, other standard rear-engine buses were already available, which ironically included, among others, the Leyland Atlantean and Daimler Fleetline. London Transport was compelled, no doubt by Leyland's and others' persuasiveness, to consider its future fleet using cost-effective standard chassis rather than their new Routemaster derivative, as good as it was, or might have been. So the FRM project was cancelled after the first of an anticipated 3 prototypes was constructed. The still prototype FRM1 was delivered to London Transport for testing in July of 1966, which saw it well received by drivers and enthused over by managers for its low fuel consumption. In June 1967, it finally went into service on the 76 and 34B at Tottenham Garage, where it could be compared with the Atlanteans on trial, where it was well received. Then, on the 31st of August, disaster struck. Leaking flywheel oil caught fire on Princess Street nearby the Bank of England. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and the fire brigade put out the fire quickly, but the problem of fixed windows was demonstrated as the bus filled with black smoke, and firemen smashed the glass to let it escape. The decision was therefore taken to fit opening windows. Although the bus did see sporadic service, FRM1 became somewhat of a nomad. It returned to Chiswick, but after a brief holiday there, it took up a quiet suburban existence in Croydon on Route 233 in December of 1969. June 1970 found it at Aldenham for a repaint. Then, in March of 1971, it moved onto Route 234. That lasted until January of 1973, when FRM1 retired to Chiswick for an overhaul. The problem with the bus was that because of its unique nature, it was hard to use it on a route with other buses and had to work a route where only a single bus was needed. A new job for FRM1 was found on Route 284 in Potter's Bar. The bus was apparently treated with extraordinary care. Not many buses at this period emerged each day with polished chrome wheel nut covers. FRM1 enjoyed quite a lengthy stay at Potter's Bar from October of 1971 until September of 1976. In December of 1977, it was fitted with public address equipment for tour work, ready to take up duties on the Round London Sightseeing Tour from February of 1978. In March of 1981, it returned to sightseeing duties. The tour fleet moved to Victoria in November of 1982, and FRM1 was withdrawn the following spring in February of 1983, not because of any failure, but because newer buses could fill FRM's role. It joined the London Transport Museum collection in April of 1983, and in 1998 it was transferred to the museum's Acton depot. It still attends bus rallies and special London Transport running days. The FRM project may seem like a failure, but it wasn't in vain, though. Many lessons were learned, and the Leyland Titan of the late 1970s and early 1980s emerged with a lot of FRM's features, effectively becoming the FRM Series 2. And we like to think that the new bus for London designers took just a little inspiration from FRM1 when they created their front entrance rear engine Routemaster. So the question is, would London have been better off in the 1970s if London Transport were able to purchase 2,600 or so rear-engined Routemasters instead of the DMS? Probably they would have been better off, but it's all hypothetical, and I guess we will never really know the answer to that question. So what do you think? Let us know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at the FRM1, the front entrance, rear-engined, one-of-a-kind Routemaster. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.